Hello and welcome to Modern Mondays here at Guardian Games in Portland, Oregon. I am Travis Cooper, hanging out with,
Urchin Collie. Welcome back to
and
Modern Mondays.
we're here seeing probably what has become a pretty familiar deck versus something that I haven't seen in a little bit.
Yeah, it's around, but it hasn't been super successful despite everyone's fears. So we're going to see a matchup between the Simic Urza deck, the very popular mid-range deck with Oko, Thief of Crowns, and Urza, Emery, basically all the overpowered cards from Eldraine plus Urza. And we're going to see it against a pretty ridiculous combo deck.
Yeah, I remember when the format first started adopting the London Mulligan rule. There was a lot of talk about how this Neobrand deck is like, it's going to break the format with you're going to have really consistent draws, and it's kind of just gone off the map.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
I mean, I think they would also be quite afraid of Once Upon a Time, but that hasn't really gotten there either. Because they just really the combo, if you're not familiar, is to pay the alternate cost for an Allosaurus Rider, which is I believe, 7-drop.
It's a 7-drop, and it has power and toughness equal to the number of forest that you have in play.
Yeah, so that's not important. It's a 7-drop is the important part. And then you cast Neoform, which is a card from Ravnica Allegiance, which allows you to sacrifice a creature and then go get a creature with converted mana cost 1 more and put it into play with a +1/+1 counter. And Gristlebrand doesn't quite care about the +1/+1 counter, but you get to then go into Nourishing Shoal, shenanigans, jar your deck. It's pretty good. I believe it often wins with Borborygmos. Not the one called Borborygmos, but
Borborygmos Enraged.
the angry one. All right. So Aiden here going to start off with a Chancellor of the Tangle, the green Simian Spirit Guide, kind of. Just some free mana. Mike Shocking and a Watery Grave here. Gonna start with an EE on one. Just get it out there. See what's happening. It's always a little tough when you're trying to build a board of artifacts, but you don't want to run out an EE in case it's important. You don't know what to set it on.
Yeah, maybe the players know what each other are on, maybe not. But yeah, E on 1 is usually, I think, a fair play, especially if you think your opponent's going to play a mana accelerant, because then on your turn 2, you can sort of like bolt the bird.
Yeah, he saw Chancellor of the Tangle, so if he doesn't instantly predict that it's Neobrand, he could think that it's a green deck of some kind.
Yeah, there has been the deck floating around Modern that's playing Charbelcher that usually plays Chancellor plus a number of Birds of Paradise effects.
So Aiden gonna run out a Gemstone Mine here, remove a counter. Play a Metamorphose with that green mana. Pull up chat. Gonna draw a card. See if we can get there. Wonder if this is just game over. 3 green in the pool for Aiden. Do we have the Allosaurus Rider? Yep. There it is. Alternate cost, exile 2 green cards. Cold Snap special.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to cast an Engineered Explosives on 7.
Yeah, 8's even harder, turns out. Yeah. It's like EE's really dead in this matchup. So if Aiden has another mana source and the Neoform in hand, he likely just wins on his next turn.
Yeah, there's a chance that we could see Mike with the Mox Opal get to turn that Allosaurus Rider into an elk as well.
That doesn't work.
Doesn't work?
Still has 7 converted mana cost. Can still just go ahead and Neoform it.
Yeah, fair enough.
The Allosaurus Rider will in fact get bigger. Helping Aiden out there. The beatdown plan.
I do see these Neobrand decks a lot of times will expend so many cards to get out the Allosaurus Rider on turn 1, and I would say it's not super common to then also have the mana to be able to Neoform on turn 1. It happens some amount of times, but a lot of times it's expend a bunch of resources to get the Rider out, and then on your turn 2 you're going to Neoform it, and it's a pretty weak creature. It dies to a lot of things. So I feel like that's maybe one of the reasons the deck hasn't been like really popular.
Getting in here for 2, though. And Mike actually has shocked himself down quite a bit. He's fetch shocked twice. So I'm getting in for 1, I believe. Emery's going to grab a Mox Opal, which is a nice bit of acceleration. We're going to see an Urza here, I do believe. Here he is. Going to make a construct. Currently just a 3/3. No big deal. 2 mana up. Can blow explosives on 1. Still not useful. Giving it a think here. Wonder if he's figured out what's going on. I'm sure Mike's familiar with this.
In fact, I think Mike has played this deck before.
So his best option here is just to play his game, hope Aiden doesn't have it, and try to race Neobrand with a mid-range deck. If he can get up to Cryptic, that's going to be extremely good. And he now has Cryptic mana available, so the Simic Urza deck, it's worth noting, usually runs 2 Metallic Rebuke and 2 to 3 Cryptic. Looks like in hand for Mike, he's got a Thopter Foundry and Oko and an Engineered Explosives. The Thopter Foundry version of the deck runs 1 Foundry, 1 Sword, 2 Whir is sort of an auto win button, which might be a way for Mike to immediately close out this game if he's able to find it. So here's Thopter Foundry. Sack Mox Opal. Go ahead and get a Thopter. So he's just going to try to set up a beatdown plan here. That construct's going to get awfully big. Emery's going to be able to recur the Mox Opal. Get another artifact if we want. Just going to play out that Engineered Explosives for another. Or we're going to Oko Food for another. If he has a chance to untap with that Oko, he can trade one of his artifacts, say a Mox Opal, for that Allosaurus Rider, which is going to put Aiden in a really bad way. So, if I'm Mike here, I'm looking to just survive 1 more turn, make sure Oko doesn't lose any loyalty, and just hope you don't lose right now. Because I believe his other card in hand is another Engineered Explosives. Do we have it?
What?
Hit me again, dealer.
Aw.
Serum Visions. Keep looking. It's a no, sir. Top. Okay, so Aiden here, I think, if he's aware of what's going on, he may just be trying to stock up with another Allosaurus Rider. But it does cost... It's 3 cards to get an Allosaurus Rider into play cheap. You have to exile 2 green cards, which is not simple. Alright, Mike. Let's take the Rider. Oka can only steal things with power 3 or less, but it turns out...
Yeah, it's a pretty small guy.
It's a small dude. Gonna go ahead and play Mox Opal shenanigans. Keep making more Thopters. We're gonna activate Urza with the Mind's Desire effect. Shuffle your library, exile the top, you can cast it until end of turn without paying anything.
Do you say spin Urza when you're activating Urza's ability?
Because of the influence of others, I've started saying it, but I actually prefer just calling it Mind's Desire.
Okay.
But the younglings these days aren't familiar. Because Urza, he's a... Oh, he didn't see the line. He may just be going for the kill here, but that Allosaurus Rider can block, which is just as good. As long as Aiden doesn't have it at the end of the game, at the end of this turn. But Mike needs to push 6, 7, 8. He's got 8. He's got 9 with the goose.
Yeah,
9,
maybe
10, 11,
do Do you
12. I
do you
see
think
12.
Aiden went all in, having the Neoform in hand and just needing a second mana source?
That's what I'm imagining, is he's been sitting there waiting for it. And if he went top with the Serum Visions, I don't think Mike gets another turn. Aiden should just take here, yep. Doesn't matter. As long as he's alive, doesn't matter.
Mike's got a lot of permanents.
He has a lot of permanents. So I think we could have maybe snuck in a couple more damage by activating the Goose.
You know, it's tricky. Even if Aiden
Yeah, here it
gets
is.
a Grizzlebrand,
Eldritch Evolution?
we're not going to be able to gain life here, and then it can just turn into an elk.
That's true. But here's Eldritch Evolution, which is another way this deck does its thing. Slightly more expensive, so that must have been what he had in hand. He was waiting with Simian Spirit Guide, which we saw him pick up earlier off the Once Upon a Time.
I wonder if we're going to see Mike maybe spin this Urza to see if there's a Cryptic Command on top. Would be pretty lucky to happen, but
He has 4 shots in his deck.
is there any reason not to do that right now?
I'm trying to think. You're right that he can't draw cards with Gristlebrand. If he goes and gets Gristlebrand. He just gets a Gristlebrand, which is pretty favorable in combat here.
Yeah, but
But
if
the
it's an
Gristlebrand
elk.
becomes an elk. So, you know, actually, I believe Aiden doesn't just get to win here. So if you're Mike, I wouldn't. Looks like he did spin. Exile an island.
Yeah, I like the
Gristlebrand.
choice to spin because it is just a complete blowout if you hit, and
Yeah.
it's not a lot of downside.
Hey, Nuglo.
Nice elk, Aiden.
Good to see you. Gristle elk.
Oh, it'll be a 4/4 elk.
Busted. All right.
It's so sad.
It's really sad.
Uh,
Neobranded, and it doesn't matter. Okay. So we're probably not winning this turn. We'll have a jump blocker. Believe we could have just won sooner, but continuing to flip counter spells on his own turn. Unfortunate.
do we see the line? It's
Smash.
Oko.
It's Oko.
There's not a lot of
You're gonna
decision
elk the
trees here.
Gristlebrand. Yes.
Oh, we see it.
We
There
got
we
it.
go.
We're gonna go to the next game. Oko Thief of Crowns, ladies and gentlemen.
Aw,
You're right. It shouldn't have a counter on it from Eldritch Evolution. I'm gonna give a. Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
But you're right. It was not a Neoform. That was an evolution. Kind of the
Bad
worst.
Neoform.
The worst of the
Yeah.
two spells.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a little bit more versatile in what creature that you can go get if you're not going for a Grizzlebrand and you're doing some kind of like value chain.
Does Neobrand engage in value chains? Does it just put Gristlebrand into play?
I don't know if I've seen a fair, in air quotes, deck play Neoform.
No. If you look at that card and say, wow, the value. Because I don't. No effects like this ever felt that way. So
Curious what do we have sideboards at all?
we do. Let's take a look.
Curious what is in Aiden's if there are some value creatures on the board that you could Neoform a bird or something into.
So Aiden's sideboard. 4 Veil of Summer, 2 Leyline of Sanctity, 2 Dissenter's Deliverance. You're going to have to help me with that one. 2 Oxidize, 1 Pact of Negation, 2 Fire Spout, 1 Slaughter Pact, 1 EE.
Veil of Summer seems all right.
Oh, Veil of Summer's great. I mean, it actually counters an Oko activation. So if all you need is a turn, you can do it.
Yeah.
It also counters Cryptic, counters Rebuke, anything you need. I'm not sure what else I like here. Slaughter Pact tags Urza, but
Yeah, I'm fine bringing Impact of Negation too, because I feel
Just
like
an
Aiden's
extra.
just going to want to, combo off, expecting some amount of counter spells from Mike. And yeah, that's just
Yeah, reasonable.
counters a counter for 0.
So in Mike's sideboard, we are looking at 3 Thoughtseize, 3 Damping Sphere, 2 Ashiok Dream Render, 3 Veil of Summer, 3 Fatal Push, and a Drown in the Lock. I think Thoughtseize is typically backbreaking for Neobrand.
100%. That's why you play the Veil of Summers on the sideboard. I still bring even if I knew my opponent had Veil of Summer, I would still bring in Thoughtseize, just because you've got to do
Oh yeah,
it.
oh yeah, yeah. And Aiden, the best thing he can have really on turn one is a green mana up and a Veil of Summer. I don't know that anything else in this deck or in this sideboard besides the Thoughtseize is interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like I'd imagine Simic Urza probably being fairly favored in this matchup. Um,
With Aiden on the play, if he can just do his thing before Mike can set up, then it doesn't matter.
yeah, looks like everyone's taking a mulligan.
Neobrand, a little bit like modern blackjack. That round didn't go well. Just draw,
Yeah.
draw again, try again.
Yeah, it does feel, not having played with the deck a ton, but experimented a little bit, that even though the London Mulligan's really good at like finding your pieces, you need a lot of cards and enough mana to make your big turn happen.
Yeah.
And when you start going down in card quantity, it really affects your ability to do your thing on turns 1 and 2.
I would actually say I don't think the Simic Urza deck mulligans super well either.
Okay.
If you like, it can mulligan, but if for the really good starts, you need a fair degree of acceleration, and it doesn't have infinity payoffs in the deck. So it can happen where you're mulliganing down to a goose and a few artifacts that go nowhere, and if you're not in a grindy match, then just laying eggs doesn't get there.
Yeah, it does feel like there is a fair amount of air, also a fair amount of cantrips, but yeah, it feels similar to maybe Tron in that way, how there's maybe like what 12 payoff cards or something. You got
4 Oko, 4 Urza, and then
Emery,
three to
kind of.
Emery. You've got 3 to 4 slots for the for whatever
Mhm.
finisher you're putting in. That's often multi-piece, but not infinity threats. But you have a lot of control pieces to drag out the game. They're just many of them a little slow for Neobrand, and things like engineered explosives are just dead. I don't imagine Mike kept them in.
That would seem like a pretty easy swap out for Thoughtseizes, unless there's something worse in the deck.
Speaking of Thoughtseize, Mike's sitting here on a Thoughtseize, I believe a Gilded Goose and a Metallic Rebuke, at least. See if we can spot a little more. Gonna bottom 2. We have Thoughtseize, Metallic Rebuke, Gilded Goose, Flooded Strand, and one more I can't quite see.
Well, it's a turn one Thoughtseize, I'd imagine.
You love it. Thinking about bottoming Emery Bauble, we want that Metallic Rebuke up, but we won't have it on turn 1. Also, that fetch land will not give us both Goose and Rebuke. You can't make the mana with the food and improvise.
I think it's really funny on a tangential note, the Chancellors that get that see play in different formats. Like we see Chancellor of the Annex a lot in Legacy, but
Yeah.
like I don't know if I've ever seen that revealed in Modern.
No. No. I don't think anything but Neobrand bothers with Chancellor of the Tangle. Remember some weeks back somebody revealed a Chancellor of the Dross?
Ooh.
It was
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yep. I thought it was kind of questionable.
he went for it though. I like boldness. So we're gonna see Chancellor of the Tangle, Summoner's Pact. Gonna cycle 2 Manamorphos. Allosaurus Rider. Gonna exile an Eldritch Evolution and that same Chancellor. Here he is. It's a 1/1. Neoform. Goodbye.
You did it.
It's a Gristlebrand. We did it. All right. Mike did not get to Thoughtseize, Aiden. Mike has not had a turn. So if you're wondering why to play Neobrand, this is why you might want to play Neobrand. Because we're going to put a Gristlebrand in play. And then
Usually pretty good on turn 1. Let's see what the chain turns into here.
see if we can get there. Draw the whole deck. Pitch a bunch of lands. Mike's face. We're going to pay 7 life. Draw 7 cards. I'm into it.
So I think what you want to do in this situation is you're gonna draw. You want to draw 2 Simian Spirit Guides and a Manamorphose, have a Neobrand, another Allosaurus Rider, and then get Borborygmus in play is maybe.
We've got Borborygmus now. He's got a deck full of free mana. Now, I'm not exactly sure how he adds... Oh, yeah, I think you... Do you want to be casting the Borborygmus, or are you cheating into play some other way?
I think you're cheating it into play, maybe, but huh.
I'm not entirely sure. It's now in his hand. He packed for it. I also know they run Nourishing Shoals, so he can start gaining life. We're going to pact again. He is triple dead.
Yeah.
So I am curious.
What is a card that we're revealing there?
That not...
Oh, it's got a 11 casting cost.
Oh, okay.
It's a green creature just gaining life with the pact.
Okay, it literally only does Nourishing Shoal because it's a big fat whatever. Literally just putting uncastable things in your deck.
Some kind of worm.
It's a worm. If anyone in the chat wants to fill us in on the blank 11 CMC. Is it 11? 10, 15?
It's a lot.
I'm going to look for green white worms. They cost a lot. While we watch Aiden do his thing here.
I think that...
Autochthon worm.
Oh,
it cost
thanks.
15.
15, okay.
Creature worm. Convoke. Trample. 9/14. Stats. Nonsense stats. You did have it right. Kirbadata. Do they eventually breach onto Shoal? Seems about right. I wouldn't say this is incredibly popular here. It is here occasionally.
Yeah.
I only know a couple of players who play it.
There's a lot of people that play Pact of Negation here, and that always feels pretty great against this deck when they go like so many cards in to get Allosaurus Rider, and then you Neoform that, and then that's it, because it's countered.
I mean, if you pacted the first Shoal here and leave Aiden with 3 Summoners packed.
Oh.
Whap, whap. Labman is another way to do this. We'll see if what win condition Aiden chooses.
It's going to involve a Manamorphose and Simian Spirit Guides.
As a former ad nauseum player, there is something about drawing your deck and exiling a bunch of Simian Spirit Guides. I typically won faster than this, though. You just sort of pick it up and you're like, yeah. You go.
Don't throw all your lands. Save a couple if they have lands in their hand when you're playing ad nauseum.
Aiden, typically a Storm player, clearly familiar with tracking floating mana on dice. And ladies and gentlemen, Aiden has won on turn 1 of the game. I do believe. Yep. Aiden has won on turn 1 of the game. Mike did not get one single draw step. So that turn 1 Thoughtseize did not come to pass. That was a turn 1 win.
Haven't seen that in Modern in a while.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten your turn 0, like like in the same situation where you didn't get to play a turn? Have you lost?
I have never been in that specific situation. Have you?
When Summer Bloom was legal in Modern, I lost more than once to Amulet before I got a chance to play.
That has to feel awful. Like, think about all the thought that Mike put into those mulligans. Just didn't matter.
No. Yeah, I think I'm a little... There are many mistakes that I feel like we've seen with cards in the past year, but I do like certain things out of Modern Horizon, and I like having a kind of quote-unquote free counter spell that is limited and just hitting non-creature spells. I think that's pretty cool. Where it can really, like, there's a cost to playing these, like, go all in before your opponent gets the chance to play a land decks.
Yeah, I usually think that cost is Thoughtseize, but Aiden was on the play, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came to watch the Simic Urza deck play. Well, the first game it played, Force of Negation is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it seems like if that's a thing that all you would have to do is just watch Modern for like the past month. You've seen a lot of Simic Urza probably.
I've been playing with the list. I'm switching it up. I'm not keeping it the same. Looks like Mike gonna keep 7 here. I didn't tweet.
It was funny. I saw a friend of mine was playing an Urza deck that he hadn't updated to put Okos in there. But it was, and there was still a Tezzeret in the sideboard, and it was hilarious.
It's not good.
How then, well, he ended up playing the mirror, and Tezzeret's a lot better than Oko. All right, we're gonna keep 6.
Let's see.
What do you think the chances that Mike has a turn 1 Thoughtseize are with this snap keep 7?
He snap kept 7, so either he's got a Thoughtseize or he's got like the nut. I think I saw a Thoughtseize.
Like maybe a Metallic Rebuke on turn 1?
He's got an Ether Spellbomb, an Astrolabe, at least 2 lands. I see a black card. I think it's a Fatal Push. Why is there no? Oh, it's an Ashiok, of course. Ashiok stops the searching. So you can't pact. Is that good enough? Oh, it stops the Neoform too. So it stops the combo.
That's pretty good.
So he snap kept on Ashiok on the play. I think that could be good enough. I actually like Ether Spellbomb. I'm on and off on that card, but
that's the bounces, right?
Yeah, I'm weirdly fond of that card.
Sometimes you just need to bounce a creature.
Sometimes you don't want your Urza to get passed, and then you get a second construct.
Yeah. Defensive, offensive, flexible cards.
Tag your opponent's construct. It slices. And it dices. Astrolabe, draw a card.
Was there a Mox in Mike's hand?
There's no Mox. There's only an Ether Spellbomb, and now a Gilded Goose was the draw off the Astrolabe.
Yeah, I like turn 2 Ashiok a lot. I'm not sure if it's a snap keep with a turn
slow.
3 Ashiok.
It otherwise has decent texture. It's got artifacts. It's got sufficient lands. Well, here's Allosaurus Rider. We have Chancellor mana. Are we done? Oh, no. Oh, no. We're done again.
Well,
he could fizzle.
There's a
fizzle
fail rate, yeah.
Unfortunately, I think, like, even with the fail rate, if he doesn't have a pack, so he can't pass here and just say, I have an 8/8 Gristlebrand. Which would be nice, but... Oh, no, he exiled the pact. So if Aiden wants to play it safe, he can just pass.
I mean,
have an 8/8 life link.
8/8 flying life link is pretty good.
There's like nothing Mike could possibly have to deal with that, because he could have sideboard Assassin's Trophy.
Well, turn 2 Oko is
turn 2 Oko,
which is to deal with it.
Yeah, not on the table right now, but I guess he could. You know, I sandbagged it, Bubble Mox land, getcha, but I think Aiden's just gonna decide to probably win the game.
Yeah, I mean looks like that's what's happening right now.
2 turn 1 combos from Aiden here. Takes a remarkably long time, given the turn 1.
Oh.
Got these 5-minute turn 1s. So, I think in the past year, seeing as we're coming on the end of 2019, Modern overall has gotten substantially less degenerate. It's weird that we're just sitting here watching Neobrand, which is pretty much the definition of linear.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that. I feel like there's way less of these kind of all-in crazy combo decks just because the power level has kind of gone through the roof in the past year in terms of like low casting cost cards that do a lot of versatile and really good things. So
I think the other thing to consider is that losing looting freed up a lot of decks that just couldn't keep up with the looting decks. It just slowed the whole format down, which made things like Cryptic Command castable again. And you're seeing a lot more deck diversity. You're seeing a lot of things skewing towards mid-range because of that. Obviously, Neobrand exists, but not the most common deck in the format.
You know, it'd probably be feel pretty good if you're Mike, is if like Labman's on the like very bottom of Aiden's deck,
Yeah, pretty bad.
and
If it's in
his
the last, if does he just lose if it's in the bottom seven?
if it's in the bottom and it's not an equal, like if it's not s- card seven,
Right.
then yes.
Wow, that seems risky. So if he ends up sitting here with fewer than 7 cards in his library, he just loses to his pacts, is the plan. Spirit Guide. That's one. Spirit Guide.
Huh. This may be one of the few decks that actually does go faster on MTGO. I feel like a lot of times decks that have a bunch of triggers take like a lot longer on MTGO than in real life.
Well, I think it's the searching.
Yeah.
You don't have to search and searching and shuffling's faster. You know, Wolfear 94, I'm with you. Modern is Bay. Everyone's playing Pioneer. I'm paying attention. I'm watching it, but the gameplay just has it's a completely different format.
Oh, I'm kind of in the opposite camp here. I've really enjoyed Pioneer, and I'm just kind of sick of like the Oko show that Modern's turned into, especially around here.
I have plenty of thoughts about Oko. I think it is the worst part of Modern right now, but I
Uh,
won't leave my baby.
yeah. Yep. Nope. There you go. You did it. That's
That's
two turn
two
ones.
turn ones. All right. We're going to go look for another
Yeah, I
match
have a
here,
little
see
bit of
if we
time
can
left.
find another one. Be right back.